Hello once more. We are back for the final movement of the last piece of our classical days journey. I want to once again thank all those who've taken this journey with me. I want to thank those who have commented over the course of now 6 days on the various pieces, again with some anecdotal information, with some suggestions, some opinions about quality. I really do appreciate it all. I thank those who are both into classical music and maybe especially those who are not for having the patience with me as I've indulged this particular side of my musical interest, which was in part born out of a desire to go through some pieces in succession. And of course, I know there's a number of folks who are waiting for me to get back to the regular reactions. So thank you to everyone who follows my channel. Thank you to those who followed me through these classical music journeys, and thank you to those who've been waiting while I do so. In any case, we're going to listen to the third and final movement of Beethoven's 14th Piano Sonata, colloquially known as Moonlight Sonata, though as I said, quasi una fantasia is the original designation that Beethoven gave it. But the third movement, which is quite famous, maybe ever so slightly less so or less commonly played than the opening Sublime movement, is known as a Presto agitato, which is further to say presto very fast tempo, and agitato, you might not be surprised to learn, means agitated or in a distressed sort of way. And there is definitely an intense and perhaps agitated sense that this movement gives you, but in a very beautiful and stunning manner. So, yes, as I mentioned, this movement might just be my favorite in the sonata overall. It's certainly one that captured my attention from the first time I heard it, which again, I've had this CD now multiple decades and have been listening to it over the years, and this third movement transports me and arrests my brain every time I hear it. It is used in some pop culture references, and in fact, there's a pretty famous video game. It's the second Earthworm Jim game. Earthworm Jim was just a crazy, eccentric, and comical game on both the Super Nintendo and the Genesis or Sega Mega Drive in the mid-90s. And there's a level where you're having to throw around these pianos to defeat a boss, and this movement plays the whole time. And I remember when I played that game and I got to that level, I was like, oh my god, you're kidding me. Like, they're using Beethoven in a video game where you're having to throw pianos at the enemy. So yes, that really did stick out to me, but honestly, this is an incredible movement with such energy and intense pace that it is scarcely believable. Let's give it a listen. This is Beethoven's 14th Piano Sonata, the third movement, which is a Presto agitato as performed by Daniel Barenboim. can think of no better moment to end our classical days journey on. It's seriously one of the best pieces of piano music ever written and one of the most compelling movements of music, period. Certainly for my money, and I think among many classical music aficionados, this one holds a special place. As I said, it might even be the second most famous movement in this sonata, but it is every bit on the level of that first beautiful adagio sostenuto, but it is, of course, very different in its stylings. I do love how we get both a lot of forte, but also some piano as well. There's some very light and crisply played moments, but also, again, some very powerfully struck chords as well. And it's the balance of that. It's the speed, but also the flow of the movement that is so incredible. And of course, I do love the way it sounds like a very complex and difficult piece to play for the pianist, which I imagine on some level is true. Of course, I don't have experience as a piano player myself, but just given the character of the piece, I would be surprised if this is a simple one that you can just pick up and play very quickly, and yet it's very accessible for the listener. It feels almost intuitive in certain moments, and I do love the heavy, agitated feel in some sections, balanced out by some lighter and more smooth passages. So it has great balance, it has great intensity, it has great melody, and it is just a masterpiece. So again, there's no better movement or piece that we could end this week of Classical Days on. So I hope you enjoyed the journey. I very much loved it myself. I loved the comments that people gave. I love the enthusiasm that some people had, as well as people that come from pop music, synth pop, synth rock, and different walks of my channel showing up here and commenting. As I said, we'll have many more classical reactions going forward, weeks, months, and years into the future, but I really wanted to do this special session. I thank you for allowing me to do so, and now we will be back to regular, let us say, reactions tomorrow. So let me know what you think. Take a bow yourself. Luca would bow, but she's sitting on the chair, and Professor Shnootz will be back for more reactions tomorrow. Peace.